Hello, friends. Welcome to my first New York City update. For those of you who have not seen these updates before, I like to do video updates, and they're normally a little bit longer. The intention of these was never for y'all to watch the whole thing. However, if you want to, that's great. My recommendation would be that you would treat it as a podcast and listen to it while you're walking or running or exercising, lifting weights, driving, or if you listen to podcasts. My recommendation would be to listen to this then. But if you don't want to listen to a 15 to 20 minute video, I get that. Totally okay. I'll have links in the email there are timestamps going throughout the video that will be based on different subjects that I cover. And you are welcome to listen to whatever interests you. That's fine. And if you don't want to listen to any of it, that's okay. You can just read the email. That works too. So the intention of this was never that you watch the whole thing. If you do, that's great. Recommend the podcast. But that's kind of how I've chosen to do things. So with that said, starting off, how is New York City? Awesome. Love it. Freaking love New York City. I've been here for a little over a month now, and I have gotten everything I hoped I would get. Different cultures, every couple of blocks is a different culture, and it's kind of your pick of which one you want to experience. China, you got Chinatown, that's a famous one. Koreatown, we have a little area dedicated to Japan. We have an area that's predominantly Jewish. We have Nigeria, Jamaica, Mexico, Dominican, whatever you want, it's here and it's pretty close. All of that being in Manhattan, there is just an area for whatever culture you want to experience. And I've loved it. I've gotten to meet awesome people already. Y'all, Young Life is cool. They took me under their wing immediately and introduced me to all of their friends. And their friends. And I now have really good friends. I just met with one guy today who said he's great at Super Smash Brothers. I'm like, awesome. We're now great friends. And I'm going to destroy you, as friends do. So it's just been a wonderful time. I met some really cool people. I would also say one of the primary reasons I came to New York City was because I wanted to experience different ways of thinking in regards to the scriptures. And I wanted to experience cultures who focus on different aspects of the Lord than I normally would. And I haven't gotten there yet. I'm not going to lie. I haven't gotten to experience the different cultures on that level of depth yet. But I have gotten to meet with two pastors who have different views of the scripture than I do. And I've gotten to hear their view of things. They're not complementarianism or complementaristic in their way of thinking. And I've enjoyed hearing their side of like, okay, I see these scriptures, they say these things, you tell me your interpretation and how you got there. And it's been fun. It's been really fun. One of the interesting things about New York City is, as far as the South was concerned, I always felt like the dividing line in the church was women's role in the church. Should they be allowed in the highest levels of leadership, elders or pastors? Here, from the churches that I have worked with and from what pastors have shared with me, that basically everyone says a woman can be an elder or a pastor. Where the dividing line is now is, what about a homosexual? Is the Bible gay affirming, and can somebody pursuing homosexuality be a pastor? That is the debate. And I've already had conversations with potential leaders that lean towards the gay affirming side. So it's really forced me to shore up on my theology in some of those areas. And so I've enjoyed that. Frankly, I've enjoyed having those discussions. I've enjoyed listening to people's perspectives on things. And that's why I came here. I wanted to experience that stuff. And I've gotten that. Of course, New York City is a freaking weird place. I've seen multiple drug deals happen right in front of me. I was playing chess with this guy, or I was about to, until he told me he's going to charge me like $10 for a chess game. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. But as we were talking about it, some guy came up and just gave him weed, paid the man, and started smoking it right in front of me. It's just not really enforced. I've seen multiple subway plays or theatrics Saw a mariachi band or two. Saw a guy do some really cool stuff with his hat. He kept taking it off his head and then putting it back on his head in really unique ways. And no one cared about it except for me. Everyone on the subway is looking at their phone like, oh my gosh, this guy's annoying me to no end. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. The way you put your hat back on your head, amazing. I was all in it. So I'm clearly the new guy in town, and I've loved it. I thought the mariachi band was great too. So it's an interesting place. They have adapted to COVID in a really unique way. So this New York City feels like a town that got hit early, and they have now figured out what does life look like with COVID. They've had almost a 2-month head start than the rest of us. So it feels further along. One interesting implication of that was so that their restaurants didn't die, they allowed restaurants to like take over a lane in the street and just set up tents that you can do for outdoor dining. And it's really cool. I'll include some pictures in the email, but it's been really cool. Sometimes they just close off streets and they'll allow music or bands to play in the streets, and people just bring a blanket and sit on the road and get some coffee nearby. It's been a really cool experience in that way. Of course, one of the best parts of New York City is just realizing where I am. I went to Central Park this weekend and hung out in Central Park. I used to think of Central Park as that place that I would one day get to see. And I got to see it like 10 or 15 years ago, but it's just a place you travel to from afar. And now it's in my backyard. And that's really cool to say. We were playing spike ball, and I was like, wait a second, I'm at Central Park. The Central Park. And that's just how the city is. Everywhere you walk, you're like, that's right. Like, some of the coolest things are here. People from all over the world come to see these things that are right next to me. And I have loved that aspect. So I've loved New York City. I've met some awesome people. As far as the challenges of New York City and also doing ministry, challenge number 1, finding a bathroom. Freaking hard to find wherever I go. I cannot find a bathroom. And most places are closed down. Public restrooms closed down. And so I have bought many cups of tea just so I can use the restroom. That has been the biggest challenge. But more seriously, the biggest challenge of doing ministry here, which has been challenging, is trying to meet kids, trying to meet students. I won't lie to y'all, this first month on the job has been hard. I was really hoping, and I'm learning now in my pride, to get something started quickly, and that's just not been the Lord's will. I've tried really hard, but to no avail. And to give you guys some context, here's how Young Life works. One of their key elements is called contact work, to where you go to wherever kids are and just introduce yourself with the intention of building a relationship. Not necessarily share the gospel, if that happens, great, but you're just building a relationship with them and seeing if they want to hang out and seeing what they're interested in. And whatever they do, you do. If they like disc golf, go toss a disc with them. If they like water polo, learn how to play. If they like NASCAR, get into it. It's whatever they do, you do, and you enjoy it. And so you pursue kids in that way. I have gone up to almost every campus in Manhattan, and there are no kids on campus at all, except for Columbia University. That's the only campus that has kids. So one of the main ingredients of Young Life contact work just doesn't work right now. And that's made meeting students so very difficult. And I've tried, y'all. I went to this one campus called the City College near my house. It has a true campus like Columbia does. Most colleges do not have a true campus like NYU. You walk to NYU and you don't know you're on campus. You have no idea. It looks like the city. City College and Columbia are not that way. And I went on to Columbia twice. I walked around for 3 hours, just at first trying to be like, I think that's a college student, maybe not. And by the end of it, I'm introducing myself to everyone, whether I think they're a college student or not. And all of them were either PhD students or adults who don't actually attend the school. That has been the contact work. And that's Columbia. Every other college, has not even been close to that. You go to Pace or Baruch, there is not a kid in sight, and you can't even get inside a building. So that's made things very, very, very challenging. One of the other things that's been hard is the overwhelmingly large amount of options we have to go with. And let me explain. We could start to focus our energies on NYU and Columbia. Columbia would be a place we could start right now. There are enough kids on campus to where I could go to campus every day and just meet students and get something going by God's grace. And that would be a really good way to reach the world. People from all over the world go to those two schools. But after they graduate, they typically leave and go back home, right? So that's how we would reach the world. It's not a good way to reach Manhattan. If we want to reach Manhattan, we should go to the local city colleges where kids, I think 85% of all students in the city colleges are from the city. Not only that, it would allow us access to the students who probably didn't get dealt a good hand in life, who just didn't have as much of a shot at going to a prestigious school like NYU or Columbia. And I tend to have the heart for those kids. One of the things I miss about high school ministry is you get to meet the kids who don't have a shot. They'll still be at your high school. They won't really be on your average college campus, that I can tell so far with a month of experience. Okay, this is what I'm learning. But they would probably, if they were to be somewhere, it would probably be a city college. You won't really find those at Columbia. So do we go after the world or do we go after Manhattan? Who knows? Eventually, it's both. Where do we focus our efforts now? A lot of, without going to all my thought process, right now with COVID, it's kind of been, Lord, I'll take any open door you give me because there's just not a lot of open doors. But God has been kind in these last 2 weeks to kind of give me both options. If I were to go with the city colleges, it just means it would take a lot longer to get things started. One of the benefits of doing the city college is we would likely have a much more diverse ministry, which is something we really value, me and the board value, and it would be easy to start a predominantly white ministry right now. And it would be much harder to chase after diversity. And so we are choosing to kind of enjoy less immediate fruit for long-term fruit by holding off on pursuing what would be the path of least resistance and pursuing the students that are mostly white and waiting to pursue diversity. It's just harder to do diversity, and I can get into it if you care. Feel free to email me, but that's just what it looks like, and that's hard for me because that means we would not get anything going until next semester, and that's just, I think I feel a little shame about that, but that's my own issue, and I'm dealing with it. So anyways, there has been a lot of challenges in that regard. Diversity has been hard. Pray for that for us. We're looking for it. We're trying to make it happen. And I think we're just going to need a lot of help from the Lord to make that happen. So that's been a big challenge. Another huge challenge is, most of these come with COVID. Students aren't near campus a lot of the time. Like, most of them have moved back home because Manhattan ain't cheap. And why stay in Manhattan when I can go back home for free and do my classes online? And if they are in the city, they're probably not in Manhattan. They're probably in the surrounding boroughs, which I am not at. So kind of in line with meeting kids, but most of them aren't around their schools. Most of them are far from their schools. So to tell y'all the route I've kind of taken, the first route was, okay, I am going to ask Young Life to send me a list of all Young Life alumni that's graduated high school and is now attending a college in Manhattan. Out of the 15 names they sent me, almost all of them are white, and almost all of them go to one of the more prestigious schools like NYU. And so there's a problem. So then when I started to think, well, if most city colleges have students that are coming from the city, then I need to get in contact with the area directors in Manhattan and ask, do you have any kids that have graduated that are now attending college? And that has been very, very fruitful. I have about 20 to 30 names that I intend to pursue soon, and that will be my task for the next couple of weeks of getting to know these kids that have Young Life experience and are now in the local colleges here. My prayer request would be, please pray that this ministry does not turn into a predominantly caring for Christians. I came here to reach non-believing students who do not know Jesus. And I'm nervous that if I start to invest in the Christians, then it may not translate into us doing more outreach. It may translate into more care. And that is a good thing, but not why I'm here. So pray as we pursue the Young Life alumni, who I assume are pursuing Jesus, that we are intentional about fulfilling the task of reaching lost kids. So please pray for that. That is definitely one of the challenges. I say all this not to say that it hasn't been hard. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I have not gotten to know many college kids, but that's not to say I still love my job. I've had a couple of moments where I'm like, man, I get to do this for a living. I'm getting paid for this. This is awesome. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my job. I still can't believe I get to do it. I feel very honored that God chose me for this task, and I'm very hopeful that He'll use me in some big ways. I'm really hopeful that He'll do something cool with this ministry, and it would be awesome if He did. If He made something happen in Manhattan, in the heart of New York, it would be awesome. So I've loved my time. Don't get me wrong. I have stressed myself out a lot over some of this stuff, but that's not to say that I'm not glad that I'm here. I love it here, and I've loved this job. I've loved working with Young Life. I love the team I'm on. It's been great. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here. I've thoroughly enjoyed my role, but it's been mostly challenges so far. There's not a lot of like, here's what's gone well, because most of the time nothing has really gone well. It's all been really challenging, but that's okay. I should have expected it, and I think God has been kind to humble me in a lot of ways. So keep praying for us, but kind of moving on, y'all. Want to wrap it up. I'll tell y'all a quick story that I think y'all will love. So as I said earlier in this video, I live in Hamilton Heights, which is mostly Hispanic and Dominican. So I went to go get my hair cut a week and a half ago from this random barbershop. They didn't speak a lick of English. And I sat there trying to practice the bits and pieces of Spanish that I remembered from my local mission trip in middle school. And I don't remember much, but I was trying, y'all. I was trying real hard. Eventually I gave up, and we were just both sitting there in silence. And I started to hear this song that sounded familiar, and it was the song Waymaker in Espanol. And I was like, oh, they're Christians. And so I looked at the person cutting my hair, and I was like, tu amor Christos? And he goes, sí. I'm like, oh my gosh. And this one guy came up to me. He was a barber next to us. He goes, God stays here. And he smiled. And I was like, mi amigos. And it actually was really comforting. I started to tear up a little bit. I had to hold it back. I didn't want to look like a loser in front of him, but I was like, thank you, God, for allowing me to go to a random Christian barbershop. And they played Waymaker, which is one of my least favorite songs in the worship world in Spanish, and it happened to be that song. That was the only song I knew. Out of all the other songs, they're still worship songs. I didn't know any of them, so I just thought God was really kind to do that, and I just felt like it was him loving me well in that sense, in that instance, that it was God kind of sending me hey, I'm with you in this. And so I walked away very thankful to the Lord, and I can't wait to go back. I've been practicing my Spanish, and I'm gonna kill it next time. So Not a lot of stories yet, y'all. That's definitely my favorite one, but as time goes on, I'm sure there'll be more. But that's the end of the update. Thank you so much for watching it. For those of you who did watch the whole thing or listen to the whole thing or watch bits and pieces, I hope this was informative. Feel free to email me questions or comments. There will be prayer requests in this. So for those of you on the prayer team, please pray. We need your prayers. Oh, so badly. But thank you so much, y'all. I know I wouldn't be here without y'all, so I appreciate your support. Love you. Bye-bye.